Welcome to the Bushwick Bears Petty Crime Review. This week we are talking about stealing.
That's right. Not grand larceny, but, petty theft, little things like a yo-yo or an election.
The only thing I ever get accused of stealing anymore is hearts. I'm from the future. My name's Fuck Rogers.
That sounds like a porno name. That would be a great. Remember, parody porns were such a big thing.
Oh yeah,
like Fuck Rogers, and because he was Buck Rogers.
Wait, did you say parody porn or parody of porn?
No, like parody porn. Like one of the first porns I was remember. Like there's that company nowadays called Wooden Rocket. And that's all they do is parody porn.
Yeah.
So it's like Game of Thrones, the porno,
or like
Ninja Turtle, Avengers, the porno.
Yeah.
When I was a little
Dora the Explorer.
That is one. Dora the Explorer is one. I did.
Wow, I was going
the Genital Explorer. Right.
But when I was a little kid, one of the first porno VHS tapes I had access to was called The Penetrator, and it was a knock on the Terminator.
Oh, hell yeah.
Like he had to go back in time to he impregnated Sarah
he's
Connors.
His own dad. Yeah,
he's his own the dad type of thing.
I'll blow your back
But
off.
that actually kind of brings us into our topic for the week. The reason I had access to that porno is because my dad in his closet had a toolbox that had a lock on it, and he had in there was like his guns and the penetrator, a couple nudie pictures of some of his girlfriends, like Polaroids. And so I figured out a way that all I did is I took a screwdriver because it had to lock one of those with the latches, and so I'd pop the latch off.
Yep.
I'd take the porno tape out. I'd do my business. I'd rewind the porno tape back to where it was.
What a thoughtful young man.
That's such a key point.
Dude, that's how they would find out.
That's how they find out.
I didn't watch that scene. And then I'd take a pair of pliers and I'd clamp the latch back on.
Yeah.
And so if our listeners haven't guessed, our petty crime specifically is stealing.
Stealing. That's this
right.
Week. Petty crime of the week, stealing.
You thought it was going to be going back in time to be your own dad.
Yeah.
The episode time traveled.
No, that reminds me also, so not just me, but all Russians, this is a thing that anybody had these fucking cable boxes that stole cable. And this
Black
was,
boxes.
yeah, but this was like, every Russian I know had one. I didn't know any non-Russians, and we would get it in like Brooklyn. Somebody's uncle would have it.
Yeah.
My uncle had it. We had it, and so very early on, we would get like Cinemax and stuff like that because these black boxes would get it.
Yeah.
And I remember that like me and a couple of my like best friends would like go home and like put on Cinemax, and then tragically one day, my dad must have used I did not do my due diligence, and you could click like previous channel on the remote. You remember that? It like turns back.
Yeah.
And so he must have, I think he used that to trace back and saw we were watching like Cinemax or Red Shoe Diaries or something.
Right.
And so one
Real
day,
Sex 12.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so one day we come home after school and we're like, yeah, put it on. And then I turn it on and then it's scrambled and we're like, fuck. And I think somehow I obviously was like torn, like, do I say nothing or do I like confront my dad over what happened?
Why are you hiding the porn, Dad?
Yeah. And I think I did. I think I managed to somehow be like, I noticed some channels are no longer working. Is our cable box broken? And my dad's like, yeah, I opened it up and turned my dad's an engineer, so he like opened it up and turned off whatever channels because we come home and it's all scrambled. And you know what? As you might remember, we stood there looking at the scrambled of it like, I think I saw a titty.
Oh, we used to do that thing. I remember on the old school cable boxes, you could go to like the Cinemax, and if you press the A-B button real quick, it would unscramble, but just for a second. Like there was a lag.
Like a Street Fighter code. You got to go A-B-B back.
Yeah, there was like a lag, so you just go A-B, A-B, A-B. And there's a tit. There's a tit. And you try to like jerk off.
Right. You have to have the volume up high so you can hear the noises good.
Yeah. And it would like have that weird little lag. You'd be like,
now that we're talking about it, like, because I don't steal as an adult, but I have stolen as a kid, and aside from maybe like cookies, I think the thing that I've stolen the most in life is pornography.
Yeah.
Like as a child, like I stole pornography.
Well, you couldn't even buy it if you wanted to.
Like physical pornography, like videos.
Physical.
Or
Oh
what?
yeah. Like I had to go to summer school like every summer, and me and my buddy David were walking home after summer school in like 8th grade, and we stopped by a bodega, like a convenience store or whatever.
Yeah.
And and this is when they just had porn on, like you could just go to the porn rack.
There would be like a plastic sheet like covering up part of it.
No, it was just porn. It was just porn at the In-N-Out Mart. And this is in 1992. You know what I mean? It's 1991, 92.
Yeah.
This is like ancient times.
Prime Terminator penetrator years.
Right. Terminator 2, Judgment Gay. I just had to think of a pun, whatever. But anyway, so we went to the In-N-Out Mart, and he was like, and my buddy Dave was like, hey, distract the cashier. And I'm like, why do I need to distract the cashier? You know, or whatever. And I look over, and he's like
Oh my
putting
God.
a Club International in between his books.
Club International.
Yeah.
I love it.
Oh, is it dying?
No, it's recording. I couldn't tell.
He just wanted to get his face
I think
up
it is.
close.
I'm gonna double check it really quick. I'm sorry.
No. So anyway, so
Yeah.
so then we had to walk home along the railroad tracks with pornography, and it was the first time I'd ever seen girl on girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, wearing socks. Both of them wearing. That's it. And it changed my life.
You became a liberal.
I was like,
you became a liberal that day.
Oh, I was like, everybody should have access to porn.
This is beautiful, and everyone should have the opportunity to do it.
Yeah, and well, even as a kid, I was like, this makes sense.
Love is love.
Yeah, I was
as you came.
Yeah, I was like, if I was a girl, I'd probably like women.
Dude,
better.
I had a pretty similar story. Me and my buddy went to the swap meet, the Tanque Verde swap meet. You know, like it's like a flea market or whatever. And there was this guy. He's still there. I went to the swap meet 2 years ago, and the guy is still there. He sells mostly like video games, but he also had DVDs, right? And he had video games and DVDs. And in the very back corner of his stall, his little booth, was the porno, and it was like 3 for $10, porno DVDs. And what we did, the same thing, is like, I went and talked to the guy. I was like, how much is this video game? And he's like, $3. He's like classic. He's like, you know, the comic book store guy.
Oh,
like
yeah.
morbidly obese with a ponytail.
Right.
Just sits on the seat with his little fanny pack with all his money in it. And same thing. I went and I was like, oh, hey, how much is this? And my buddy who I was with just literally just ran and grabbed like a handful of porno DVDs and went out the back of the stall. and left the thing and left the street, the flea market.
This isn't really theft, but I do remember we found a bunch of porno magazines in the woods, and we would like hide them in a particular place.
Yes.
that's
And
like a rite of passage.
Right.
Absolutely.
But my buddy, like my best friend that I grew up with, I think he brought this up like in the past couple of years that he's never forgotten that I like left them out in the rain one night and they got ruined, and he hasn't forgiven me.
Dude, that's a form of
for 25 years.
That's a form of currency to young people.
Right.
Yeah.
That's also another way the pages got stuck together.
Oh,
Get left
got
out in
wet.
the rain.
No, I remember I found it wasn't in the, because you guys had the woods and we had the desert. Same idea though. You know, you're just out in
Right,
wilderness as a
yeah.
kid. You're in the
Right.
wild. Kids in the wild.
Yeah.
But this one I lived in an apartment complex. At the big dumpster, I went out to take the trash, and I found a box of porn. Like someone's mom had found their whole porn collection and threw it in the dumpster. And I threw the dumpster. I looked
treasure. You found
I
buried
you found
treasure.
treasure.
I became the richest kid at Fort Lowell Elementary School that day. Because I was like, I jumped in and I grabbed them and I pulled them out and I didn't know what to do with them. So there was an electrical box, one of those big electrical boxes.
Yeah.
And I shoved them under it. There was a crack in it. So I shoved it under and waited till my mom went to sleep.
Yeah, that's great. Wait, they were magazines?
Magazines.
Yeah, good.
This is magazines.
Throw the flammable paper in the electrical box.
Right. Yeah.
I went under and I went till my mom went to sleep, went and grabbed a bunch of them back up, hid them in my room, and they were nasty porns too.
Oh.
The ones with the thick pages that are full on,
Yeah.
Fox
Yeah.
or there's even higher up than Barely Legal or Club International, but it's I remember Fox was one of but full on weird penetration shit.
Well,
Right.
so to put a button on this aspect of no. And here's the upside to stealing. in that regard is because my stepdad did find that porn, that club, underneath my bed, right? And
what was he making your fucking bed?
no, they knew. I was I was a kid.
Yeah.
No, nobody made my fucking bed.
I was like, what?
No, my mom would kick in my door every day.
They
They
turned your cell, basically.
Yeah, no, they turn my cell. Basically, yeah, just like in boot camp when they come through and they rip up your cell, looking for like contraband, and they found it. They always knew I had something in there.
Yeah.
If it wasn't beer or weed or acid or whatever, it was porn. And so my dad sitting there, and he's like, my stepdad, and he sat me down, and this is the good side of it. He goes, look, he's like, man, this is not like how you treat women. This is not how women are.
Yeah.
This isn't what like a beautiful woman is. Or he taught me to like understand and
That's
like
what a really rad stepdad.
I know, and appreciate a way. And like from that on, I didn't look at porn for years.
I like the idea that as soon as he was done, he like grabbed the magazines and jerked off with them.
Yeah.
This is for
Right, and that shaped my opinion about women for years to come. And it wasn't until I started dating women that they ruined it.
My dad was wrong. This is
what
how
a
you
rad
treat
thing
women.
that what a cool stepdad move. That's rad.
Right, yeah. But so, have you guys ever been arrested for stealing? Like
No.
straight up charged crime? Arrested?
Yeah.
No, I'll tell
Not
you.
charged, but arrested.
I'll tell you the closest. So I never really had a stealing phase, but I hung out with a couple kids for like a brief period of time that stole a lot. And the one thing that I just remember being so fucking scared. My mom bought me a pocket knife, and I loved it, and I lost it, and I felt so bad, and I was like determined to steal the same one at I believe it was Target. And so me and this kid, multicolored eye Vlad, and we called him that because he had two different colored eyes.
Multicolor-eyed Vlad.
Yeah.
That's because his parents were different.
This was the only kid shorter than me who got a growth spurt years later, and I saw him after I hadn't seen him in years working construction. He's like your height probably, and I was like, motherfucker. But he came from Russia like way later. This kid used to sniff airplane glue for fun.
Oh,
so
he knew how to party.
He knew how to party. So he
Gross.
stole anything and everything. I watched this kid, truly impressive. He wore like those Jinko jeans. We went into the store in the mall that sold telescopes, and he noticed one of them. If you remember, they would be connected via like what looked like an Ethernet cable to a thing so that you don't steal.
Yeah.
And he noticed one was disconnected, and while I was talking to somebody, he literally shoved one and walked out with a telescope in his Jinko jean. Truly impressive stuff for
How
a
committed
moron.
to science and learning was this kid?
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure he really used it to better himself. But so he got me to steal this pocket knife, or to try to steal this pocket knife. And what happened was, it was three of us in the Target. Must have been super obviously like troublemakers, because this was my plan. It comes in a plastic wrap. I'm like, I'm never gonna like unravel this thing in the middle of the store. I'm gonna take it, put it in my hoodie. I'm gonna go to the bathroom in the Target. I'm gonna find a way to get it out of the plastic wrap, and then I'm gonna walk out with it. Right. So I have it in my hoodie, and a store worker comes up to us, and he's like, "You guys can't be here without a parent or guardian." We were probably like 14 or 15 or something, and then. And of course, it wasn't because of that. It was because I'm sure he saw us on camera.
Yeah,
trying to steal stuff.
Yeah.
And so he's like, you can't be here without a parent or guardian. We're like, okay, we're going to leave. He's like, you got to leave now. And he starts following us to the exit. And I literally am like, if I walk out through the exit, the alarm's going to go off. And he's literally behind me, and I'm fucking sweating bullets. Like, as soon as I walk out of this thing, the alarm is going to go off. And I'm walking, and as I pass an aisle, I look back, and I see he turns for a second, and I literally just take the thing out of my hoodie and just fling it down the fucking aisle.
Oh, that's the best thing you could have done.
And I walked out, and fucking Vlad stole a pair of gloves successfully. I don't know how. I was so nervous, and this motherfucker's like, "You idiot!" Like, and he just got a bunch of shit.
Vlad, the multifaceted criminal.
Dude,
Like,
have you been arrested for stealing?
I have. Okay, these are things I've been I've stolen. All right, I've cars, or been a party to. Cars, money, like serious money, drugs, tobacco, alcohol, gasoline. And the only thing I've ever been charged with is stealing Doritos when I was a kid. And a can of Kodiak dip.
Some chaw?
Some
Some snuff?
Yeah. when I was a freshman. We brought up this theme. I'm like, oh, I don't really ever remember stealing that much. And I'm like, oh yeah, one time we stole a car to go to Detroit to go see Korn.
The real crime was
not like a not like we hotwired somebody's car.
Like somebody know's
We
car.
took somebody's sister's car without her permission.
My brother did that to me.
Right.
My brother stole my car.
The real crime of the situation was seeing Korn live.
I'll go again.
They stole his heart that night from the stage.
And so, we weren't even going to see them. They were opening for like Cypress Hill.
Yeah.
And we were more interested in that. So anyways, but one time when I was a kid, I stole like candy or whatever from the fucking convenience store.
Yeah.
Not the same one we stole porn from, but a different In-N-Out Mart. And they called the cops, and like I was like a kid, so I'm like crying or whatever. But then when I was like a freshman in high school, I was like playing baseball, and I wanted to be cool like everybody else and have the fucking Kodiak fucking chew to spit during baseball.
Yeah.
And I grabbed some from a Kroger's grocery store when I was shopping with my mom. Right. And I'm sitting there, and I was like almost kind of nervous because I was like, I don't know, it's a big grocery store or whatever. I don't think anybody saw me. And my mom checked out. We're walking out to the car. I'm like, fuck yeah, I made it through. All of a sudden, security guy comes running up from behind and grabs me. And my mom was so fucking pissed and embarrassed. I got fucking charged with theft. I was like 14 or whatever.
They called the cops?
I had to pay restitution.
Wow.
Yeah, I had to pay like a $60 something restitution. I didn't have a job.
How old were you?
14.
That sucks. They couldn't just give you a slap on the wrist.
No. My mom was like embarrassed that I was in trouble. I mean, like I was grounded for a month because she actually had to pay it. I never, paid it or whatever. And
did you try invoking your privilege?
No, I didn't. At the time, I didn't know I had it.
It was the 90s. Yeah, you didn't.
Yeah. I was like,
that word wasn't invented yet.
Surely the son of a heroin addict is not at all privileged in this society or whatever. But it turns out it's true. And but whatever. But no, I'm a fucking dipshit kid. But we were always like, I don't know. We're all like poor bum fuck kids. We're always doing dumb shit like that.
Man, yeah. I was such a dork. I'll tell you what, the one thing I stole successfully, only thing I can ever remember, was a yo-yo.
Oh, man, that was the time. You were all into it?
One of the toy stores, also in my hoodie, and my heart was fucking racing.
So here's the thing I stole gas a lot. When I was like 18.
How did you do that?
Did you siphon it out of other cars?
No. I would go to this is my point. I would go to like BP and I would fill up. This is before like credit cards were at the terminals or whatever.
But aren't you supposed to like pay inside the booth?
Yeah, I think I'm part of the reason that you have to pay for it nowadays. And my thing was like I didn't have any money. I was kicked out of my house. I didn't have like a job. I didn't have any skill sets. And like I have to like live on my own, and like I had to pay rent. I sometimes didn't have money for fucking drugs or gas, so I'm gonna spend money on drugs first, and then steal gas. That was always easier.
The drug dealer gets way more mad when you steal from him. So
so I pull up to and my justification was I'm gonna pick BP because the Exxon Valdez, because the Exxon Valdez, they've damaged this environment, so I'm fine stealing from them.
You were like, these guys are gonna spill oil one day, and I'm gonna feel justified in stealing from them.
This was in the 90s. They had already spilled oil.
No, but the big one, the BP oil spill, and
they had one in the 90s.
They did
too.
Yeah.
There was a big Exxon one. Yeah.
BP's always been a problem, and I don't mind stealing from them. But anyway, so I would just pull up, fill up my tank, look around, hop in the car, and drive off. And then I'm like, if I didn't see a cop after like 15, 20 minutes, I'm like, I did it.
Right.
And it was like out of a survivalist sort of thing. That's why I like to tell myself it was just really being a bum.
I got arrested for stealing when I was 9 years old, and what had happened was I had gotten in the habit of I was always just a weird.
You got arrested at 9?
Yeah, yeah. I had a weird habit, and it was just awful. But I was just such a weird little fat kid, and my mom wouldn't buy like candy or treats, right? Really, but I would go into the store. And I would do things where I would like open up a thing of Cool Whip, take a handful of Cool Whip, eat it, and put the Cool Whip back.
Oh my God.
Like just and it wasn't even that I didn't even think I was stealing. I think I was just too little to understand.
I didn't touch it.
Look, ooh, I feel so short now all of a sudden. But fucking so like,
whoever's not listening, Derek hit the hit
The
the
table
Well,
got-
I
the
could.
table
You know
got
what I
away
could
from
do
him.
is I could literally just flip it around so that control panel isn't directly against your titty.
the table, his titty hit the table. That's fine. But so I was I got into. I didn't think I was stealing. You know, you didn't realize until you get in trouble for it. But then I was like, there was a Kmart that was walking distance from our house, and I would go and I really wanted these hip hop cassette tapes. That was what was becoming popular at the time.
You should just gone to Times Square and somebody would have
Would
offered.
have right their own.
Right, yeah. You can still get offered those right now.
Yeah.
Right.
Some of them
Pretty
haven't
desperate.
even
Union Square, somebody's trying to hand out.
cassette tapes.
Yeah.
They're not even on
Yeah.
CDs yet.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay, well, I want LL Cool J. Mama Said Knock You Out. I don't have any money, so what I did was they had those big plastic security things on them.
Oh yeah.
Remember those?
Yep,
Yeah,
I
It's
do.
like this
Yeah, to
big.
prevent you from like putting
From
them in your
zip-
jackets.
So
or whatever.
I was like, okay, I grabbed 3 tapes. I always remember it was LL Cool J, Mama Said Knock You Out, Life's Too Short, and 2 Live Crew, Nasty as They Wanna Be.
Right.
Those are the
classics.
The 3 cassette tapes. I went back and I took some garden shears and I snapped those plastic things off.
Yeah.
I put them up in the thing in a pot somewhere, and I walked out. I got away with it. I was like, oh shit. I am gonna have the biggest hip hop collection of any kid in
any
1991 in the Kimberly Woods apartment complex.
Just all porn and cassette tapes. The richest boy in school.
So I went back, got away with it again, and I was like, this is so easy.
Yeah.
3rd time, same thing. I went to the hip hop section or the rap section at the time, and I grabbed the cassettes, went to the garden section, and there was just a big black dude who's like, hey, bud, why don't you come talk with me? And he had like all of the snipped plastic things laying out on his desk. And he's like, I've been watching you for a minute. I didn't think you were going to come back.
I didn't think you'd be that dumb to keep coming back.
Oh
to
my
Flew
God,
too
the
close
crime.
to the sun.
My
That's
mom,
like OJ just walking outside of Nicole Brown Simpson's house like every other day.
no, that's
Yeah.
like O.J.
Yeah.
Simpson writing a book. If I had done it, I should have written a
was
book
gonna say, yeah.
that said, if I had stolen rap cassette tapes from Kmart. But my mom, same thing. She came and got me, was embarrassed. I had to go to like the
Yeah.
juvenile. I'm 9. I'm such a little kid.
Wait, so you had to go where?
I just had to go to juvenile like court, and then they gave me like a, what do they call it back in the day? Deferment or something?
Pre-trial
Yeah,
intervention.
Yeah. No,
Probably.
It's something like that though. It's like the same thing.
Yeah.
Where it goes clean off of your record.
Yeah, it had a name, and I had to talk to a lady every week. She looked like
expunged after a while.
yeah, but I had to go every week. I had to call this woman that looked like Marcy Darcy from Married with Children, like a little lesbian
yeah.
lady.
Which you call everyone with short hair at that
every
time.
small lesbian in the 90s.
Yeah, Marcy Darcy.
But my mom is such a badass. Her punishment for me was so smart, and like I don't think I ever really stole again. Was that she fucking she hit me up. She got me, and she's so mad. She's like, okay, I'm gonna whip you fucking 3 times for each tape that you stole. But that was already, by the time I was 9, I was already almost as big as she was. I was so big, she knew that wouldn't work. She's like, no, that's not gonna work. I have a better idea. And she pulls out her old school address book and sits it on the counter and gives me the phone, and she goes, you're going to call every single one of your relatives and tell them exactly what you did.
That's the worst.
Starting with your grandmother.
Wow.
And so I called her mom, my grandma, and that my grandma was a mean woman. She had, 7 kids of her own, 2 died in childbirth or whatever.
Oh, Jesus.
And she was just a mean lady. I was crying, sobbing so hard by the time I got off the phone.
She knows how bad it feels because God stole 2 children away from her.
So my mom just sat there watching me cry. That's the only one I made it through. I didn't have to call in the rest of them. My mom's like, "Oh, you had enough."
You know what? That made me realize though that like I painted myself like, oh, I didn't steal good. This is what I did. This is my form of theft that I still do, which is piracy.
Oh yeah,
software piracy. If that, I
You're
mean,
a
if that
software pirate.
counts, I am way guiltier than the average person. So what I used to do is, again, through the Russian connections, this wasn't an uncle, this was usually a cousin, is somebody would know somebody who, when video games were first like popping, I would pick up a CD like 4 times a year, and from like somebody, this is before like there were internet speeds to be able to get games like this, but it would have like, I don't like the first like 2D Grand Theft Auto, that kind of stuff. Yeah. Doom, like the original.
Doom, were always what
or like
stealing.
or like Duke Nukem 3D.
Duke Nukem,
like that kind of stuff.
Wolfenstein.
Yeah,
right,
exactly.
Yeah.
And I would get like a CD with like 25 different games. There was like the old, like it was like when Street Fighter was first on computer, but it wasn't Street Fighter. There were like other ones. It was like these like metal machines that fought, whatever.
Yeah.
So I would do that, and then I would, once I got a CD burner, I would copy it and I would sell it at school. And so me and my buddy would sell copies of these. We would like split
little
it
entrepreneur
up.
right there.
Yeah, and we would sell these CDs at school. And then, I mean, even since then, like to this day, my first instinct, and this is, if something's not readily available for me on like, whatever I have a subscription to, I'm not going to add another subscription, and I'm not going to go out of my way like if it's too difficult. It's just too easy to go on a site and stream it for free or download it.
Yeah, I mean, like I become conscious of like how much I was doing that in my own life, and I make an effort. If I can pay, I will. I mean, I guess it's also, too, because I have so much access to so many apps and content that I don't feel the need to do that sort of thing anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, and the artist fucking is suffering. That could be us someday.
It could be.
I'm not trying to pass judgment. I used to do it.
Yeah, no judgment felt. But the way I do
you're
it,
a piece of shit. No judgment.
No, if it's an individual thing, and there's like bands that are like where like I'll order a vinyl or something like that, like something that makes sense for me to pay for, as opposed to like digital stuff. It just needs to be simple enough. Like if they make it so that it's easier for me to steal it than to legally purchase it, then yeah, easily I'm gonna go and do that.
I mean, like, what about you? Just have like Spotify now, right?
Exactly. So for music, it's like way easier for me to just listen to stuff on Spotify.
Right.
Listen, before that, I got a hard drive somewhere with a shitload of music. I spent years pirating music on like Napster or whatever else was available. I have and a lot of it is stuff that you won't find on Spotify, like obscure shit for friends that ripped CDs and gave it to me, and like all sorts of stuff. There's some cool stuff that I should probably like go through on there that's like literally not on Spotify. There's an awesome album, I'll tell you right now, by it's a mashup. Dr. Dre and like Max Bedroom presents. And
I never heard of it.
And it's nowhere. And it's the one album I have on my Dropbox, pirated, and I share with people and send them a link.
Oh, cool.
You know, guilty as charged. I'm probably going to get something, a fine or something.
Dr.
In the mail
Dre
now.
has an alert that when the podcast comes out, his name is mentioned.
Well, I don't even know. I don't even know where to buy it.
He has a Google
alert in audio.
Yeah.
I just don't even know where to buy it. But
Right.
if somebody knows, send me a link. But it's Dr. Dre and Max Bedroom presents, and it's so fucking good. There's so many dope. There's a 50 Cent in the Club mashed up with 9 Inch Nails, and it's awesome.
I'm surprised that I'm not a thief. I come from a culture of thievery.
It's in your blood.
Gypsies?
Yeah. Well,
Do you remember?
heroin
I
addicts.
have like I had a friend who up until he might still do it. I don't know, but he stole so much that it just became. He was like, one day he goes, do you want this watch? Does it fit you? And I was like, sure. What's up with this? He's like, I don't know. I just stole it because I could. I don't even like it. I don't even want it.
Well, yeah. Well, I guess from my perspective is like, since my uncle and my dad were drug addicts, they stole everything.
Yeah.
And it was like, that has to be like some kind of like, I can't work it out on stage, but that's like some kind of like reverse layaway for my dad's drug dealers. It's like, as soon as like my dad's drug dealer saw that like I got a TV or something for the family, he's like, I'll see that one soon.
Right.
It's just in a holding pattern until it ends up in my fucking house. Because when I was a kid, I got an Atari for when I was like 6 years old, and my dad stole it from me and my mom to sell it for junk. And it's like, and my mom's the realist, because we opened up the closet where we kept it in the closet because we were worried about him coming to steal it. He still fucking found it anyways, and we just looked down and I'm like, where it's supposed to be? I'm like, it's not here. And my mom, instead of just being like, oh, something must have happened, she was like, your dad stole it and sold it for drugs. And she was pissed. And it was like, good. I mean, I'm glad she kept it real with me, because I never respected the motherfucker. But my uncle, I have a bit about it. I say it's my dad on stage, but my uncle stole the diving board from my grandma's pool to pawn it for junk, because it was made of aluminum.
Oh, I was gonna say, who even would take a diving board? Is what I tried to think.
No, you take it to the scrapyard.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And so as I got older, it's like, I remember being like a real little kid, and my grandparents' house was filled with like, old beer steins, and like he had nice tools, like all these shelves everywhere that I used to have tools and guns and stuff. And then by the time like I became conscious of what was going on, everything had been picked clean. We had like just a bare house with nothing in it, because they just like ravaged our fucking family like that. And it just never, I was so dumb, and because I didn't have any like structure until like really my stepdad came along to understand like what was like going on.
Yeah.
And like how it was bad and how devastating it is. Because you just like, when you're a kid, you see adults and you're like, they'll be fine. They're an adult. They probably have $1 million in the bank.
Every adult has $1 million.
Yeah, every adult has $1 million. Once you become an adult, you're having $1 million. You just don't understand, like, no, you dumb shit. Like, these things cost money. You're costing your family money. Some of these are heirlooms. Drugs are bad. You're, whatever. But
yeah.
No, it's funny. It's just like, man, you just realize how rad drugs are, that someone would risk ruining their whole life and ruin their family's lives to do drugs.
It must be real good.
Like, heroin's so rad. I'm gonna steal shit from my loved ones to do it.
And see, and that sort of thing, though, when you start to become conscious of it, and then like you learn, that I think sort of like radicalizes you in a different way. Because when I was like in my early 20s, and I started to become like a serious young man, and I started to read about other cultures. I was like, what would have prevented my dad and uncle from doing that? Is if like you cut one of their hands off when they were cut fucking stealing.
Make it like Singapore.
Right. Oh yeah, like
very orderly country.
Beautiful architecture and clean everywhere. And if it comes at the cost of beating the shit out of dipshit Americans, beat the shit out of them. Fuck him. What was that dude?
You're pro corporal punishment.
Fuck yes. I think litter should be punishable by death. Like, I mean, like
we should save an episode for littering, because I feel very strongly about that one.
We'll get to that. But no, I feel you. Go ahead.
But what I'm saying though is like, the thing is though is like, you can't have that, because you can just arbitrarily start to accuse somebody of things, and then not only like
it's easy to exploit. Yeah,
like in the Middle East, you lose a hand. In America, you'll lose your career. They'll cancel you or whatever if it's erroneous or whatever, even after the fact that somebody goes, oh, it turns out this person wasn't a part of this or whatever. But so he
just borrowed the diving board. He didn't steal it.
Right.
What's funny though is, for like even in America, for like an actual crime, you won't lose it. Like if you murdered somebody, like a real thing, I don't think you would get canceled. Like you go on trial for murder.
Right.
But people would have you on their podcast. I'd have you on my podcast.
I'd get on more podcasts.
Yeah, but if you comment on the length of a fellow comedian's skirt online, I'm
but
not
then
having
you're
you
canceled.
on the podcast.
Right.
Unless you murder someone else, then maybe.
But
we'll
if you murdered
that
someone,
again.
If you give your honest opinion about what you think of Jen Kirkman's work, you will not be allowed on a podcast. But if you've murdered somebody over tennis shoes, please come on in.
There's a couple kids in my neighborhood that have done that.
There's a
relatively recently.
So I was like, during the pandemic, I rewatched The Sopranos, the greatest show on television.
We're watching it now. We're on season 4.
Have you ever seen it before?
Yeah.
Okay.
Megan has not. And to be clear, we have HBO Max. We're not stealing it.
I pay for it as well.
No, we might be using somebody else's login.
But they have options.
But somebody's paying for it.
It's a shared account.
Someone's paying for it.
Yeah. So then all of a sudden on my YouTube, it starts showing me like podcasts or whatever from people who are former mafia, like heads of mafia crime families, former murderers, people have gone to jail and stuff.
Jordan Belfort has a podcast.
Who white crime? Talk about stealing. Wall Street, white collar crimes.
He stole so much. Yeah,
ruin more people's lives than a single murder. Like you are
absolutely
up generations of people when you steal their livelihoods. Like Bernie Madoff.
Yeah.
Why isn't he hanging from a cell? Not like in a cell. Why is he dead?
I think he's alive, but he did get the shit beaten out of him in jail. I'm pretty sure.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. I hope it happens daily. I hope his teeth get knocked out. Like
that's funny. That is you bring it up like using Jordan Belfort, the Wolf of Wall Street guy, as an example. That's different. Like you stealing a can of chewing tobacco doesn't hurt anybody at all. That is a very petty crime.
Right.
I mean, I will say it depends on from where, right? Like a small corner shop is different
even from a small corner shop that they paid $1.50 for that. You know what I mean? And they charge
a small
$6.
Corner shop though. I'm also got that shit behind the counter.
Yeah.
This was from a corporate sort of thing. Not that that's justifiable, but that's why I kind of agree with the uniformity of the punishment.
Yeah, but what those guys did, what Jordan Belfort and his people did is they stole literally billions of dollars from so many people.
Yeah.
And they ruined families. You're right.
Right, yeah. Generationally too, like even Jordan Belfort's daughter, after I watched Wolf of Wall Street, I still like to watch that movie. Even though it's like
it's a pretty good movie. It's fun.
It's a fantastic
a great movie,
but it glorifies. It's an inaccurate story that glorifies to some extent.
I just watched
the lifestyle of what he does.
I just watched Fear and Loathing, and that glorifies two people doing incredibly awful things, bad behavior, but it makes it look so fun and great,
But so Jordan Belfort's daughter wrote this thing basically saying like, hey, this is all a good and fun movie or whatever, but he ruined people's lives in these ways.
Yeah.
Right.
And, and it's like, if like that were to happen to my parents and their fucking retirement is gone, you know what I mean?
Not as petty of a crime.
Not as petty of a crime. No, absolutely. And this is the thing where it's like we're talking about like culturally, like what makes people different and not having a different level of opinion. There's so much like overlap between a person like me who might be considered more conservative leaning or whatever and somebody who's far left and looking at going like these white collar crimes are bad. We both agree.
Yeah.
Like universally these are fucking bad crimes or whatever. And the fact that we can't agree, like even though we agree, we can't have a discussion about that sort of thing because we have these like trenchant attitudes about like these other minor arguments is just jacked up because
it's by design though, right?
It is
keeping
by
divided.
While we're fighting
Derek's titty raised the desk again, just
it
FYI.
was my gut that time. But while we're fighting over petty trivial things about people who were on a podcast once 7 years ago, we're instead ignoring the fact that we're being fleeced by the upper crust through these means still.
And we have been for our entire lives. It's been
easily
going on.
Since Reagan easily took over, probably since the CIA killed JFK.
Well, we're starting a whole Pandora's box now, but it's a good button for an episode on theft.
So that being said, how do you guys rate stealing as a petty crime?
I'm gonna say like 7 out of. Oh, we're doing bears, right? I'm gonna say like 3.5. 3.5 bears.
3.5
out of 5.
bears.
3.5 bears out of 5. What about you?
Like you just brought up a good point. Stealing as an overarching thing is wrong.
Yeah,
it is wrong, and I think that because of like what we talked about, like people like that are stealing from the country is so wrong that I think that it's also wrong if a kid takes.
You're talking about the Chinese Communist Party?
Yeah, exactly. But no, I think stealing is wrong, and so I'll give it 2 bears.
Okay, since we're gonna talk context, if we have an equitable society where things are like where poverty is low, where all the conditions that are created by poverty are low, and somebody is just being a dick and stealing something because they're
greedy
and jealous, 0 out of 5 bears.
Yeah.
However,
People stealing to survive.
People stealing to survive.
Like Aladdin stealing an apple.
Right.
Yeah, anybody stealing because they're
3 out of
hungry.
5 bears because it's still not good, but I totally get why you're doing it.
Right.
And if it's to impress the other dudes on your baseball team, worth it.
Bushwick. Bushwick.